Hi Chris, I'm hoping, as you're the only one in here, you can hear me. I have no earworms, so if you can give me a yes on the chat, that would help. Otherwise, I'm sat here talking to myself. So I think I'm good to go. I think I've got everything covered. Hello, John. John's casting. Just waiting to find out whether I have audio that you can hear. If you can confirm that for me, guys, please. Well done, Chris. Thank you. That saves me typing that in. Hi, Terry. Mr. Hooper. All is well. Good sound. Thank you. Well, I've got no earworms. I'm going to run this on my own, as I normally do with these spider on the ceiling jobs. I'm in the workshop anyway, so why not invite you in to see how I muller bits of wood, for want of a better word. But I've got a few mushrooms to make for a commission, so let's get on with it. I mean, I've got the blanks cut. There's no specific dimensions for them. There's two I've cranked out earlier. All I've got to do at a later date is just sand off the pips, but rather than keep changing backwards and forwards, I would do that all in one hit. It's not mass production, but it's production on a sensible scale. Copper Owl. I can't remember your Christian name now, mate. It's the trouble with getting old. Bloody everything goes. Eyesight and brain. But I will answer the questions as best I can. There might be a slight delay because it's Rob. That's it. I might be turning and I'm facing away from the monitor when I'm turning. So if I miss a question, just dump it back in, guys. You can talk about anything you like wood turning. So this is going to be a mushroom. I more or less do all of mine the same way. I put a tenon on the bottom, gripping it in my gripper jaws, and these are not Axminster, but Axminster make one. This is a slightly lighter chuck on this lathe than what I have on the bigger pole wood. These don't take long. The chattering is because the bearing is on its way out, and I was taking a little bit too much wood. Go right through the centre, which I have. And I try, it's not always possible, to keep the bark on to make them natural edge. It's flown off the bottom, but it looks like I might be able to retain the bark around the head. So getting to a basic shape. We all know what shape mushrooms are. I tend to do them with a natural base rather than an onion base to them. I've never seen a mushroom grow quite like that, so I have a tendency not to turn them. Wrong one, that's why it's squeaking. Homemade or home profiled scrapers. This is a two-face scraper. Undercutting the head with the right hand face. You can see it fairly well there. The left hand edge is slightly radiused. The right hand edge is more or less square. They're both ground back at about 10 degrees so that I can miss with it. So I'm going in, I'm scraping with the right wing underneath. I'm going back and I'm just touching up with the left wing up the stem. I can see I've got to take a little bit more off. I need to get that a bit closer as well. That should be better. That should stop some of the chatter that we were getting. So what have we got? Hi Terry, Rob Tree, Chris, Rob Terry, Eric Winkler, good afternoon. So for the last 2 or 3 that have come in, and there's no earworm, you just got me chatting to you. So if you've got a question, type it in, and I will do my best to answer it. I can't keep up with the chat completely because I'm concentrating more on turning, particularly that cut that I'm just done there. It's so easy to pick up the edge and the scraper skew off. That's got rid of the excess that I didn't want. These are all English U blanks. Not the most colourful on some of them, but hey ho. We can only use what the great Lord supplies us with. And I can't get a camera in to show you that. I don't think this other one, what is it? If that one will, not that one. It's that one. Whether I can twist it enough. You can just see underneath the head at that, so you can just about see what I'm attempting to do. So I'm going in on one wing only. I'm sliding down on the right hand face, stopping short and picking up the stem on the left hand face. What you don't need to do is go straight in and try cutting on both faces, because the doo-doos hit the roof if you're not careful. Doesn't like it. So there's the basic mushroom. Define the bottom, start the undercut, drop the speed down. Let's bring you guys back on screen. Don't know whether I've missed anyone. Twisted Pete's in. Hi Pete. Bit of 120 grit. Linnykins is in. That's my daughter. She's on a week's holiday, so doesn't surprise me. Just checking up to see that I'm not sloping away anywhere. So if I've missed anyone, I think I've missed Gav. But welcome all. Just a quick instant decision that I'm here anyway. So let's go live. Eric, no, I won't. The colour will come out in a minute. Not all mushrooms are gaudy. A lot of them are white. It's more the toadstools that are coloured brightly, because to warn predators off and animals off that they are poisonous, and also the humans that don't know any different. How fast can you make a mushroom? Can't say that I've really timed myself. I'm not doing it as a speed turning exercise. I'm doing it at a reasonable leisurely rate because I enjoy wood turning. I have nothing to prove, apart from that I'm awake and I'm still standing. You'll see this now changing colour. So I think I'll go back to the overhead in a second. Let's get this on. It gives you a slightly better view of what I'm doing, I think, unless you guys want to stop on that one. Let me know. This one or the overhead? The overhead doesn't cut back in underneath. And the sanding sealer I'm using is shellac, and I've got it thinned down with meths, almost 50-50, so that I can wipe it off. It's also, as it's meths, it also cleans the grain out as well. Yeah, upright and breathing's about right. I can't confess to much else though. Yorkshire grit, just a bit. I've got it, so I'll use it. Never used to. Used to just whack straight onto the sanding sealer. And, they sold. So just as I've got it, I can make it a slightly better finish. The slowest this lathe runs is 450-ish. So it gets rubbed in at 450. I can hear the grit gradually breaking down until I get no sound whatsoever. On a big item, 450 is a bit fast for Yorkshire grit, but on something of this size it's not too bad. And it's just to enhance the finish. So I see Andrew's popped in. Steve Scott. What's the best super glue or epoxy to glue in pen barrels? If you're doing wooden pen barrels, wooden pens, you need a foaming adhesive. If you use super glue, it will just go straight into the wood and it won't hold. I can guarantee that from experience. The one I use is that one. It's a 30-minute one. It's an expanding foam one, and you're not very far away from a tool station, Steve. They do a 5-minute and a 30-minute one. The 5-minute one means you've got to rush, and that's not wood turning. If you're going to do a few acrylics, you will then glue them in with CA. But whichever one you do, you need to scuff up the tubes a bit. So a bit of 120, just rub it along the tube, is all you need to do. That will scuff it up enough to give whatever adhesive you're using a chance for it to grip. And I tend to glue mine up. They say it's a half-hour cure. I tend to leave them. Yeah, that's the wax. I tend to leave them overnight so that I know an inch down in the wood the glue has gone off, and it hasn't gone off just around the very edge. Because you've got a 2-inch tube, so an inch in from either end, the centre will take a bit longer. I've never had any let go, not using that method. Just give that a few minute or so to flash off, as it's microcrystalline on there. Doug Miller, hi. Oh, see, there's 15 of you. Thank you. Just have an adjustment of kit. Bear with me. It's better. Glasses back on. That's given that a bit of time to flash off. Very lightly rub it over. I'm not looking for a massively high gloss. I'm just looking for a gloss that feels nice. So that's done that. Turn the lathe off while you move the tool rest, just in case. think I'm in front of the picture now. I can't use the parting tool left-handed. Can't see it. So there is the mushroom that's just come off. Piece of branch yew, not massively coloured, but quite pleasant. £4.5 there. When it comes to be sold, if not more, depends how greedy the guys are. But, that's the normal sort of price for that size. On a really posh place, you can get £5.50. So all of them have got a tenon on them, just so that it's easy to whack them in, turn between centres, got a revolving steb and a fixed steb. Either end, spin them to get them balanced. And I'm not overly concerned if they're not balanced. Sometimes the off-centre ones look a lot better. But on this little lathe, it's a bit of an ask. I would do them on the pole wood. When I say off-centre ones, both of those will be mushrooms. That will be the bottom. That's going to be the head. So it'll be quite bouncy, but in the pole wood, not an issue. So do the simple ones on this. Let's come back to the overhead. You can at least see a bit more of what's going on. I think, no, that's that one. So spindle roughing gouge to start with, just to knock the corner off. I don't have to, I could go straight in with the spindle gouge. One more and that'll be about the maximum that I can take with this. I am taking about a 3/8 of an inch cut, which is about the maximum you would want on there. So swap to the 3/8. It's a 3/8 English, 1/2 inch American swept back spindle gouge. And this piece of wood is a lot harder than the last one. How do I know that? The simple giveaway is the colour. This one is quite brown, dark ochre brown on the heart. So it's been standing a lot longer than what that previous one has. So all of the growth rings are that much tighter. Yeah, it's horrible finish around there. You can see the difference in colour. There's a ridge just there. Just a minimal of cuts, about 1/2 mil is all I'm taking off, and that's gone. Mark the head. It is a funny bit of wood. I'm getting the vibration just underneath or just above the heart of it, the same as I did on the very head of it. You've got the stream deck sorted yet? No, not quite. We spent about 4 hours yesterday and I gave up in disgust. And come back out in the evening to try and have a fresh brain on it. And the cameras had changed position. I couldn't find 4 cameras. There's something I'm doing that's not right. So I need to get technical in. To see if we can sort that. It would work on 3 cameras, but 2 are on this one and 1 on the pole wood, and 1 on this one, 1 on the pole wood, and 1 on the tripod. So it wouldn't be the best experience for you guys. Stop that squealing. Instead of keeping the scraper flat, I'm twisting it at about 35-40 degrees. So it takes the sharpness of the edge off. And that's what I say, don't use both edges because it grabs. And once you get a grab, it's a job to get rid of it. What have we got? Oh, there's a little knot there, that's why. You just see it at the end of my finger. That's where it was grabbing. I don't do the Japanese mushrooms to see how thin I can get the stems, so that the stems are about 2 mil and the head's waving around on the top like a flower. I've done it. I can do it if I want to, but the problem is you've got to transport them to sell them. And anything that thin ends up as a 2-piece. So a total waste of time. Right. Drop the speed back. Bit of 120. That's a bit too far. Treat myself to a new piece. That's 80. That's 240. That's 240. Okay. All else fails. Have a new piece. Completely. That's better. It cuts now. The last thing you want to do on you is to generate heat. And if you're using old paper, blunt paper, you will generate heat. And you'll get lots of little shakes in it, heat shakes. You can't get rid of them once you've got them. And I can feel that's warming up. Hi Mark. Just seen you've crept in. Steve's creeping out. Back to the workshop. So if you've got any question, guys, just type it in. If I miss it, type it in again. There's only me. Cheers, Scott. If you get a problem, give us a shout. You've got a number. We can talk through pens if necessary. If you're not totally sure. Barry is in. By the looks of it. Have I missed it? Did I miss you coming in, Barry? Right, that's 120. Bit of 240. Notice I'm holding it at the top. My fingers are inside, but I'm not holding the bottom. Which camera are we on? Fingers are at the back. I'm not holding the bottom. I'm pinching the paper between thumb and forefinger. And just holding it in the back there. If it does grab, it's straight out of my fingers, so I'm perfectly safe. And I'm not that deep in there. It's only about 3/8 of an inch underneath. You don't get any more brownie points or money for making them deeper. So, mention the price of mushrooms. Depending where you're selling them, Eric, £4.50 to £5.50, £6 for these small ones. Depends on the outlet you've got. Craft fairs, it's nice just to get rid of them as you carried them in. So most of the time they go for a fiver. So that's a completely different piece of wood, but it's still you. Copper owls in as well. I'm not sure whether I missed you coming in, mate, or did I speak to you earlier on? If I didn't, hello and thank you. If I did, you've got it twice. No prejudice on this channel. Here for educational purposes and a little bit of a chatter and laugh. So that's Mylan's sanding sealer, watered down, almost 50-50. With meths, wipe it off. You can see the crap that's coming off on the paper, not very well because I've a bit bleached out on the light, but there is a little bit of crap coming off. But that's the beauty of having meths in with the sanding sealer, dual purpose. Dry that off, which it is. Don't think, unless I can hold it there in the top of the screen. That's the only way you'll see it because it bleaches out down the bottom. Yorkshire grit just a little bit. It's more across the head that I put it. Whatever's left on the paper will go underneath the head. Lowest it will go, about 450. I can hear it gradually getting quieter, the grit, as the grit's working. It sounds and feels pretty good to me. Well, I'm honoured that there's 17 of you come over to watch me this afternoon. Join me. Hopefully you've all subscribed to my channel, which is why you knew I was on, and hit the notification button. If you like what I'm doing, you can always tick the thumbs up. If you don't, do the opposite. Tick the thumbs down. Right, that's got rid of all of that. Microcrystalline, just a little bit on. Gary Y, that's a name that I don't think I've seen a lot of on my channel, but welcome. Where are you from, Gary? Robert Hodge, welcome. How's Harry this afternoon? Is it cool enough for him? Or is he in the water, cooling down? Right, let's buff that off. Up the volume. Now the mushroom turned. A lot different colour than the previous one. Got the streaks in it, which you can see they come through a little bit underneath, not quite so much, but a simple little job. One more for the basket. What have we got? Ben jamming in. Hello, Ben. So a nice little easy seller. Yeah, you like it better, Eric, because of the colour. I must admit I do, but I'm not inside the wood when I'm cutting it up. I can see some are a bit paler, but I've got the branches, so I'm not worried. This one's going to be a lighter one. And with it being a lighter heartwood, I can get a bigger cut. There, it's just getting to the heartwood there. You can tell that by the vibration. Don't want that one, that one. So come back over to the English 3/8 spindle gouge. The worst bit is that curve just there. If you're not careful, you can bruise the wood. And to help stop that, I will show you what I do in just a second. So whether you can see that very well, but I've got a relief cut. I've taken the heel off. So my bowl gouge and spindle gouge, they're all ground to 45 degrees. They're all swept back on the wing, and they're all got a relief cut on the back. So as you're coming round the tight corner there, the corner of the heel doesn't dig in. You've got more of a chance, and that will sand up quite easily. Could almost go on straight on to 240. So that's the head done. Carefully mark it. So I'm finishing off under the cup square because it's too hard to try and get in. Well, it's not too hard, it's just too time consuming. If you're not careful, you can have a bit of a snatch. So I'll scrape that very carefully. That's quite good. Reshape the stem. And I think this is running about 1200, so it's not fantastically fast. I don't have a clue because it's a conversion job. I've never bothered to check it out or get it checked out. It does what I need it to do. I reckon it's about 450 the slowest, and I reckon it's around about 1200 on maximum. It's a lathe I bought off of a fellow club member a good few many years ago. I bought it minus a motor. So I spoke with Axminster. Yes, we can replace the original motor, and but we can also do a variable speed one that will fit that. Okay, so how much is the variable speed one then? I think it was just over £100 with the control. To me, that was a no-brainer, considering the other motor from them was something like £60. I said, I think I'll make it variable speed. Andy, hiya. He's at the museum. Brief visit to restaurant, no signal elsewhere. No, that's the biggest problem down there. Hope you're not slacking too much. And if you haven't seen it, Andy, A sarcastic daughter, I don't know where she gets it from, says stand on the corner. Stand on the table in the corner. But you might look a little mad though. There you go. And Hodge is saying, what days are you guys at the museum? I'll answer. I'll go to Gav first. Andy does all day Thursdays down there in a different department. So he's in the tools and historical trade section, or something like that, dealing in vintage and veteran tools, cleaning them up, sorting them out, because we quite often get an old box of tools come in. This was my father's or my grandfather's. Are they any good to you guys? Well, sometimes they can find an item that they can change over that they've already got in display, but the one on display is not quite as good as the one in the box. So we quite often change one for one, but we do occasionally find tools that we haven't found before. They can research them. They've got a fantastic library down there. So that's what Andy does on a Thursday. I'm hoping, well, he's already said he's coming into the workshop, Woodturner's workshop down there. I'm not sure when he's going to do that. We haven't negotiated that yet. But he will be in there hopefully 1, if not 2 days a month. I usually do 2, maybe 3 Sundays a month. So ironically, I had 4 guys in the workshop yesterday. Normally I struggle to get 1. So it's just how it goes. 2 of them go down in pairs, so they can hold each other's hand, and they're safe then. But we're nearly all, well, yeah, we are nearly all retired down there. So we need the added security of others, just in case someone comes along and mugs us. It's Andy's saying it's TATS, Tools and Trade, Tools and Tool History, Trade History Society. Google it, you'll soon find out. But Amberley Museum is one of the bigger hubs, to say the least, for the group, and it's keeping things on show of what the old boys used to use. It looks like Eric's losing connection. It's probably his battery going down. I've enjoyed the work you've shared. Thanks, Keith. That's my pleasure, Eric. I'm here anyway, so just as easy to talk to myself or talk to you guys. So I've chosen to go live and talk to you guys today. No one else on this afternoon. Andy's had his cup of coffee, so he's off. Don't work too hard, mate. So we're quite a wide band of brothers, right the way around the globe. Just as it happens, Andy only lives barely 10 miles down the road from me. And it was me that got him into, or pushed him the final bit into demonstrating on YouTube. And tonight he's got his big invasion from Rich the Beard times 16. So at 9 o'clock on Rich's channel, we can all have a snoop around Andy's workshop, which isn't as big as it looks, but I won't spoil it for him. But we've sort of gelled over this. He's also a club member as well, the same club, one of the same clubs as what I belong to. So why not get him down there? So that was Yorkshire Grit. The paper's coming away clean, so that's done its work. Finish it off with a little bit of microcrystalline wax. That's the right bit of paper. So I've got a bit of paper for both. And the worst thing is you try and put the Yorkshire Grit on with a bit of paper that's got wax on it. Doesn't work. That's the microcrystalline on. Martin at Woody's Creations. I think he's just dropped in as well. Hello, mate. Someone questioned earlier on how quick can I turn these. Oh, I've no idea, but you've been watching me. Possibly a bit quicker if I wasn't slowing down to look at the chat every so often. But like I said many times, just because I can turn fast, I don't need to turn fast. There's no mileage in it. It's quite a nice one. There's a dead piece of branch in there, which has highlighted itself. Not a high gloss, but I don't think a high gloss is warranted on mushrooms. So another one bites the dust. Let's see what else we've got. Let's do a slightly wild one to start with. It's got quite an overhang. I nearly put it on the bandsaw and took it off, but I thought, what the hell? I'll turn it off. So Gav's away. Cheers, Gav. Thanks for stopping by, mate. Make sure this one is tight, so I'll tighten it, tweak it on both places. Right, that's going to miss. Still spindle roughing gouge, handle well down. Just nibble at it. And it's gone. So the handle is well down. You can't quite see it. That's level. And so many beginners go in level. That can't lay any lower. I can lift the handle and there's the cut. So the wood is coming down onto it rather than me scraping it. The difference you can see is dust through scraping it or cutting it. I'm getting streamers off. Not very big on this piece, but it's not the best of pieces of wood. Right, that's as far as that chisel will take it. Now, as this is a bit wider, I'll swing the tool rest across the corner. Let's bring that back a bit. Again, handle well down. I shan't say a funny turner or an awkward turner, but that's level, and I'm 3/8 of an inch below centre. So I have the tool rest quite low so that the point or the end of the tool that I'm using is actually cutting at centre. Have to have a drink in a second. There's no such thing as time when you're enjoying what you're doing. Exactly, Chris. And I would be doing this anyway. So all I've done is come out and turn the cameras on. Welcome to my little world. Not very entertaining, but when we're all busy, it's good to see how people do things. None of us do the same job exactly the same. So handle well low again. You can open up the flute a bit now. You can almost see it peeling off the tool. Unfortunately, it being a white wood, and I do need to see what I'm doing, I've got the light on. So that's as far as that will go. The scraper causes me to learn all the time. Thanks, Doug. Again, level would be 1/4 of an inch below centre. So the handle's down, the point's at centre. So I'm scraping where a normal scraper would scrape. So using one wing at a time. Need to open that up a bit more. So I've got to keep this motor a bit cool. And the stupid thing with the Axminster ones is the motor's underneath there, so all the shavings end up depositing themselves on top of the motor. Another 5/10 of brain cell. Maybe they could have put a guard over it. Even the new ones are the same. But as these come from China, I mean, I'm not sure whether this one come from, because this was one of the first that come off of their line. It's that old. Now that's squealing, so twist the scraper on its side. Now that's a skew scrape, but it does exactly what you need it to do. So that's the underneath finished. Don't want that. I want that one. Mark the bottom, widen the cut, don't go in too deep. Now we can sand it. Gav's gone. I probably missed him. He's probably well and truly gone now. But, if I do miss you exiting or popping in, I do apologise. Wood turning is one of those that you don't really want to take your eyes off of what you're doing for too long, because it doesn't take too long to have a whoopsie. We don't want too many of those live on air, do we? Let's rephrase that. We don't want any of those live on air. $240. It's 120. Sorry. Go over to 240. So what have I been going? An hour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that'll be 5 in an hour, as well as chatting. So, and I've not broken into a sweat yet, because I don't do that. Not these days. Okay. Now, question to oneself, do I finish this one? You can't see it. Don't. Yes, you can just see it there. You see that mark? That light white line there. And you've also got some little white dots around here. One there. So I'm looking at the monitor, and they work back to front, don't they? There's the white line on the top. There's 3 more spots there. Another one there. Woodworm holes. Get back on the light. I'm going to leave them there. They've long gone. If they haven't, they'll end up drunk on meths, which is what they're going to get now. So, if someone buys it, they buy it. If they don't buy it, it'll eventually go in the fire. But someone's going to pick it up and not realise that they're wormholes. And would I say anything? Nah, doubt it. But they certainly weren't active, because there was no dust come out of them. I don't think you guys saw any dust come out, did you? No, good. So you undercut them just a little bit. Yes, Doug. Yeah, it is Doug. Just a little bit, mate. It's a Greenfield designed chisel scraper. Most of mine are quarter Mortise chisels. So I grind off the left at about 55, 60 degrees, and I grind off the right about 30, 40 degrees, but it's not central. It's biased to the left, so there's more of a left wing than there is a right wing. And the reason that I think it's right is because the right wing is going into end grain underneath the cap, so you don't want to take a too big a bite. And the right and the left, the right wing is going into end grain, the left wing is going parallel with the grain. The amount of guys at club that have knocked up one of those after they've seen me doing it. Oh, it's so simple, isn't it? Yep. So there's no patent on it. If you want to copy it, that's just a bit of carbon. It's an old-fashioned carbon steel mortise chisel. Nothing high-tech. You don't want anything too big because you won't get in underneath the small mushrooms. If you're doing bigger mushrooms, yes, you can make it out of a bigger piece of metal. It works for me, as you've seen. Oh, Martin's had a whoopsie. Was it a pant change as well? An equal membership of either the funnel or the fingers club. That's not really what we want to hear. But I hope you've still got all your digits intact. So, bloody cheek, Sidley. I'll ignore that. But you need something quite substantial to hold up this body. They've not failed me in 73 years. So they can't be too bad, is it? 73 or 71? No, it's 71 years. Can't wish the time away that quick, can I? I don't suppose the missing bit of finger makes much difference after 18 years. You've got used to it not being there then, Martin. So you can quite happily carry on mullering away with chisels. Not a pretty sight though, is it? Bit of finger disappearing in a saw. And a bit of pink flappy material swishing around and red stuff squirting everywhere. Oh, it was that finger, was it, Martin? Barry, yes, this is bone dry wood. I've had it, 15 to 20 years, some of it, I don't know. I didn't label it. I've still got quite a bit out the back here in branch configuration, which is why until I take it off the rack and put it through the saw, I'm not quite sure whether it's going to be white or orange. It's going to have a few wormholes in it, or it's going to be absolutely A1. So you can bring the camera up to me. Might get rid of it out of the light. Not really. Let's kill that light for a second. you can just see, just pick out the wormholes there. There's a worm run across there, you can easily see that, and a couple of wormholes there. And not so easily seen, but there's one there. There's one there. You can't see the rest, they're full up with dust. So I can go on knocking these out as slow, as fast as you like. Oh, it's fallen on the floor. Let's put the light back on so I can see. Hide the legs. I don't want anyone getting embarrassed. I've got past that. We're a nice temperature down here today. The sun's out. I've cut the grass. Her indoors is happy. I was knackered. So I said, I ain't going to do much this afternoon. Good day, David. So who have I missed? David? Someone from Oz. Anyway, welcome, mate. I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat. But, I'm impressed that there's 15 of you guys over there watching that have got nothing better to do. But, maybe a learning curve for one or two of you. You see something that you haven't seen before done. Martin's got to go back to work. Sorry about that, Martin. Don't work too hard, mate. And for anyone that's missed it earlier on, after Scott's live tonight at 7:30, you've got the invasion by the Beard Times 16 of Andy H in his what looks a massive workshop, which actually isn't. But I'm not going to give too much away. That's up to Andy tonight to share that with you. But that'll be a good invasion. He's got a small workshop which looks a lot bigger. He's a bit more organised than me because of the size of it. Mine is 2.5 times the size of his. So I can spread out, which is why I've got the 2 lathes. So Terry Bartlett's in. Hi, Terry. And welcome to any of the Plymouth Turners that are in. Right, bear with me, guys. I'm just going to catch a drop of medicine. It's better. It's only water. Right, a slightly bigger one. Again, I haven't bothered to true it up at the top. I'm going to start with the spindle roughing gouge. Just nibble off the corner. If you hold it like I do, I put the hand over the top. That stops all the shavings coming out like that, but pushes them down the flute. So you don't end up like covered. It's alright when you can get away from yourself, but initially they'll all be sticking to you. And it's too hot for a smock today, so it's just t-shirt. Oh, come on. Well, it's telling me there's a USB device that's malfunctioned, but I'm hoping you guys can still hear me. I've got no way of checking. It wasn't this, I don't think, so if you can't hear me, Oh, stop it. It's ringing in my ear. I don't think it's this. Let's see if I can get rid of... Right. God knows what it was, but I've turned it off in notifications. I haven't connected anything today. Hello, Terry. You've been asleep. Oh, it's still bloody rattling in my ear, but there you go. Can't do a thing about that. Don't think you guys can hear it squeaking, can you? Right. Hello, John from New Jersey. Welcome on board. Nothing special this afternoon. Just me entertaining the troops. Tool resting a bit closer. That's it. No tech problems, but I think the focus has got messed up with you moving back and forth. Unfortunately, that one's an autofocus. Sometimes looks like it. Let's take it up a fraction. See if that fixes it. Any better or any worse, Doug? It's a job to see it on. I've only got a small picture on the monitor. Yeah, it's a job to know where to point the focus. They're not the most expensive cameras. There's quite a lot in finance involved just setting up to go live. I've almost set up 2 different stations. one on the small lathe here and one up the other end on the big pole wood, so that I don't need to keep changing cameras. With 7 cameras, at somewhere around about between 30 and 35 pounds on average. A PC to drive all this lot. All the extension leads for taking the cameras from one end of the workshop to the other. I'm not moaning, but like I say, they're not. It's not a cheap thing to set up. So eventually, I will upgrade to slightly better and possibly manual focus cameras. So until such times, you've got to stick with what I've got, I'm afraid, guys. I think some of it is because I've got the door open today. Doesn't make any difference. We've got bright sunlight just outside the door. Give you a quick tickle. Does look quite a fair way off, although the chuck's in focus. I think it's one of those photographic anomalies that the wood is spinning at an exact rate of what the refresh rate of the camera is, which is why it's throwing it a bit. That's why when you get to a certain point, instead of it going round one way, it looks like it's going round the other way. You can actually see it. It looks like it's bouncing. All to do with the refresh rate of the camera and the optics. And there's nothing that I can do about that, particularly on this setup. If it was a DSLR, I could do something with it, but I haven't worked out how to put in 600 quid's worth of DSLR in a dusty atmosphere. Thanks, Webfoot. Hope you've enjoyed your little bit of entertainment this afternoon. But it focuses on my hand. It focuses on my hand there. The stupidity of these webcams. So I know that light's not doing it any favours. Got LED lights everywhere, but they're almost too bright. I Don't realise that LEDs are that powerful until you start running cameras and the like. Thanks, Terry. Enjoy your cup of tea. Appreciate you stopping by, mate. Feel a little bit of a... No, it's the unevenness of the edge. That's quite good. Right, that was 240. That was 120. 240 now. You can't quite see it, but there is my dust extractor hood, and not pulling enough off to make a stream into it, but that goes straight. You can see it waving around here. That pulls it straight through and disappears outside. I've got a capture device outside for it. So we're all good. Right, that's down to 240. Sanding sealer. So meths and shellac, which is my favourite, probably because I've used it so long now that I've got really used to it. And before all of these celluloses came out, that was all that was on the market. So if the old boys could get a shine on all their French polishing, which is only shellac, I think it's certainly good enough for what I want it for, is to seal the wood. The only disadvantage, if it is a disadvantage, is that it takes a little time to actually dry. It's not so bad this time of the year. Mine's watered down, or thinned down. It's not water, it's meths. It's been meths down. It's about 50-50. Right, that's dry. Get out the Yorkshire grit. Sometimes I just do the head. I don't bother going underneath. But, it's only what's on the paper that goes underneath. I don't reload. I have to buy my own. I'm not as fortunate as some that get it supplied. So I can feel the grit. I can hear the grit working. It's the same piece of paper I'm using that I put it on with. Doesn't take long to work in. Go over to, I'll treat myself to a new piece of paper. A little bit come off there. So do I, Sidley. I'm guessing that was the sanding sealer. I didn't see when it popped up. But if you look at some of the finishes that the old boys used to get on French polishing just by elbow grease, I think it's proven a point that you don't need the shellacs, the cellulose, don't need the celluloses. It's just a quick way of polluting the atmosphere a bit easier with all the CFCs in it, the propellants. Right, that's coming off clean. That one's got the wax on. Microcrystalline wax from chestnut, just to give it protection, as Yorkshire grit is not a finish. It's just a well, it's a dust-free abrasive. The dust gets captured in the waxes that make up the grit. So all those very fine particles get nowhere near your hooter. Chris Dodd's got to go, guys. Thanks for the show, Keith. See you next time. Thanks, Chris, for stopping by. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope we've shown you a few tricks and tips. Chop this one off. When I've got this parted off, I'll show you another little tip. Unfortunately, it's going to be me again, or part of me. That's a bit high. If you rest your parting tool on your arm, any movement in the end is counterbalanced by your arm. So you, rather than a 13-inch handle, I've got a 13-inch handle plus at least 6 inches to my elbow. So I've got a very secure grip on the tool. So if it does catch, it's taken in the back of my arm. So you can cut a bit further over the toolbars. So there's that one. Quite a nice finish on that one, even if I say so myself. And the reason, one of the reasons that was chattering just there, the other side of that knot is there, which was right in the middle, so it was bouncing on that knot. That's my excuse anyway. In actual fact, it's the truth. So I'm going to do one more, and I think it's time I went and parked my bum. Legs are aching a bit now. But, what have we been going? Hour and a half. So it's not bad going. It's kept me entertained. So this one is had a branch. So I've centralised it as much as I could along the original branch line. See what happens. I'm probably going to lose some bark, but do I care? Not a lot. Look at that, it's come off already. Sometimes it's easier to pick the bark off than what it is to have it fly and attack your glasses. Right, that's, yeah, this one's not going to have a lot of bark on the rim, but hey ho, are we worried? If you guys aren't, I'm not. Oh, part-time Andy, home now. God, I don't know. Will you sand the bottom load? Yes, Doug. What I've got for doing that is I've got a 3-inch sanding disc. I have somewhere, not to hand, but yeah, I'll put a 3-inch sanding disc in the chuck and sand all the bottoms. I'll go through them on 120 and then finish them off at 240, and then I'll just go over it with a little drop of sanding sealer on the bottom. I won't possibly wax it, but you never know with me. Crank the volume up, hand over the top, nibble the corner off. You've got to decide, where do you want the head? Do you want some of the branch in it, or are you going to put a very tall head on it and very little stem? I think that this is too short for a very short stem, because the stem's only going to be barely 3/4 of an inch, and I'm not going to get the chisel in there unless you guys want me to see how far I can get up underneath that edge from there and have a taller head to it, which I'm quite happy to do. Whatever you want to put in the chat, tall hat or short or standard hat. In the meantime, I'll just round this off. So it's going to be a tall-headed one. Then you'll get the branch. Don't talk when that's spitting. Get the branch detail in the side of the head, or the cap. Oh, thanks, Andy. You're a bit slow because I've already started. Now I'm cutting spindle grain and cross grain along here. I'm not going to rush it. I would rather take a little bit longer to cut down on the sanding. And I can feel that bouncing off that cross grain of the branch quite well. Once you get past it on the spindle grain, you're okay. Ah, Mr. Cochrane's in. Hi, Peter. You still at work, Peter, or are you home now? I'll say work very lightly because I know it's sitting there watching traffic lights, isn't it, most of the time for you? Have I given it away now, mate? So for me, making mushrooms is a combination of 4 tools. The spindle roughing gouge, the spindle gouge, the parting tool, and my homemade scraper. So you don't need to invest in I think it's Crayon that do a purpose-made scraper that's got a bit of a hook on it, so it goes up underneath the head. Without showing off, that's 3/4 of an inch up in there, without too much of a struggle at all. I've just got to take a bit off the bottom. You can just see where I haven't got quite to the very edge. So scrape it round, and there we are. I could have finished the head a little bit neater. It's got a little bit of a flat spot on the top, but nothing but a bit of 120 in the palm of your hand so that you can work over it and the job's done. In trailing mode, holding the paper at the top so that if it should get caught, it doesn't pull the digits in. That is quite, Tell you what, it's bloody remarkable for me. But there you go. Onto the 240. Going in trailing mode. Tuck it up under the head. Sanded. You didn't tell me I'd forgotten the parting cut, did you guys? Just turn that extractor fan off. It's getting on my nerve now. No more sanding. Right, so you don't need, like I was saying, a massive amount of tools. You don't need a lathe that flies at 30,000 revs. This one's about 120, but no, 1200 I mean, and down to 450-ish. So quite adequate for what you're attempting. Sometimes it's better to turn at a lower speed. So that's the branch that I've taken out and just gone below it. Another one there. So that's why that section was quite slow on the chisel, because I didn't want to leave railway lines along there so that I'd got to spend 5 minutes plus sanding them out. So I think it was only probably about 2 minutes complete on both grits to sand that, bring it up to a respectable finish. I've put my sanding sealer in an old empty sanding sealer pot. You can see all the snots running down the side. When you put the lid on, put it on tight, undo it a quarter of a turn. That will guarantee that you can either tighten it up or loosen it next time you come to it to get it off. Because it's surprising how well that sanding sealer works as a glue, particularly when you don't want it to. So good old Yorkshire grit. Put the lid on. Particularly this weather, on the floor in the dust, because it's picking it all out then. Yeah, they're all you, Peter. I have some very bland yew, which is what this is. But, sometimes it's the form that needs to be correct rather than the colours. And unfortunately the camera's bleaching it out a bit today. I've got the workshop door open and I couldn't seem to get a decent balance of light on this. So you can see what I'm doing even if you can't totally see what I'm doing. But with rough bits like this, natural edges, I need to see what I'm doing even if you can't totally see what I'm doing. So it's apologies for that, but it is definitely you. Once I get this off, you will be able to see and agree with me. That can go in the bin. So a little bit of microcrystalline on there. Lightly buff it off, otherwise you're taking off exactly the same as you put on. These would probably get a hand polish before they go out for sale. You can just about make, well, you can make out the colour, but not brilliantly. So that's the one that's just come off. So that's quite a productive afternoon. All slightly different, but they're all mushrooms. So those two were the same branch. I think those two were the same branch, and those four were out of the same branch. I cut up several branches, and it was a matter of whatever I could get out of them was the answer. Are these to take to market or in order? They are a bit of both resin, webfoot. I've got a request for some for the museum to sell, and I've also got a request from management that we need some to sell. So I will probably take those two out of it for myself, and then possibly donate, or at very minimal cost, £1 each, just so it covers a little bit of abrasive and the like. Sell them to the museum, and then they'll sell them for £5.50, £6 each, whatever they want to put on them. Then they need the money. I need the money to keep it going. So Andy's telling me that's 14 minutes each. I haven't really been chasing. I've been chatting away, enjoying the company that I can see on the screen, but don't know who's there. So I've got to put my ass on the stool. Oh, that's better. It's 2 hours standing, so it's not bad. I'm not doing it to thrash through, just to see how quick I can do it. We can all turn quickly. I'm hoping that what I've shown you is turning safely. Different styles. You've got the very basic round top one, and then you've got the short widow's finger. You can see up underneath there just about, if I get the angle right, but that does go up 3/4 of an inch. So, and mushrooms don't need to be any specific shape. if you look at them, you never find a true round one. I can't say that I've ever seen a square one either, but that's about it, guys. It wasn't a demo, John. It was just me talking to myself, but you guys listening the other end of the mic. I would have been in here anyway. So let's turn the cameras on. You can enjoy, hopefully, what I'm doing. Maybe pick up a few tips along the way. Like I say, if you do want to do some work like this, 1/4" mortise chisel. That side is two thirds and a third, basically. Radius flat, and the grind angle is about 30 degrees. All hand done, so there's no jig for it. You just put it on the wheel, lightly turn it, and if that one went blunt, there's a reserve. It didn't go blunt. So you can easily make your own chisels. So if there's no more questions, and I do really appreciate the remaining 15 people being here, I'm going to hit the off button and find a dark corner to sit down in. The stool's okay, but it's not got a back on it. So you rock around on it. So tonight you've got Scott the Blue Light Turner at 7:30. Following him, you've got Andy H. exposing his workshop. And he tells me he's got all the necessary lubricants for his big invade. So Peter Cochrane's off. Cheers, Peter. Doug Miller's off. Cheers, Doug. So, like I say, thank you all, guys. Hopefully catch you in the chat. If I'll probably be in with Scott, but if I'm not, I'll catch you with Andy anyway, because I'm definitely going to watch that one. Because I might even get a mention, but that's up to him. I don't need it. And anyway, he's gone now, so he won't have heard that. I'm going to say cheerio, guys. Thank you very much. I'm going to end the broadcast, go in and have a sit down. So bye-bye for now.